Jurgen Klopp is the best manager in Premier League history. I'm not saying that, but I've seen a few things online where people are talking about Jurgen Klopp being this messiah. As we know, he's leaving Liverpool this season and he's had somewhat of a great career at Liverpool. But when you compare him to the likes of José Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, it's interesting to understand where his ranking is. And we need to find out, where does Klopp rank in the all-time rankings in the Premier League? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sani-That sports guy talking all things sport. And of course today, we're speaking football. We're speaking Klopp because we need to find out, is he the best manager in Premier League history? Joining me today are two very esteemed guests. We've got Manraj, who's joining us, thankfully, and Mr Singh as well. So let's get straight into it. Manraj, as we know, you're a very ardent Liverpool fan. Where does Klopp rank in the all-time rankings?
I'd say he's definitely in the top five. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of managers. I think Pep and Fergie are competing for those top two spots. They're just a level above. I'm a Liverpool fan, and you know what? It pains me to say we probably should have won more with the players we've had. He's probably around fourth or fifth, around that Wenger and Mourinho type, battling for third to fifth for me.
So we've got Mr Singh here. Where do you see Klopp compared to the likes of Fergie, Mourinho, Guardiola, Wenger?
I think for me, with these kind of things, context always matters because every manager had their own era and their different challenges. They started with a different base. I assess a manager's humans by where they came from, where they got to, and look at Klopp's transformation at Liverpool. I think it's better than Guardiola's. I think it's better than Ferguson's. I think it's better than Wenger's, and I think it's better than Mourinho's. Look at Klopp's Champions League record for the short period. It's better than Mourinho's because Mourinho didn't win Champions League at Chelsea. Wenger didn't win Champions League. Ferguson won two, but look at the context of how he won them and how long it took him to win those. Klopp's European record is pretty excellent. Final Europa League, final Champions League, pretty decent if you ask me. And you look at kind of the title performance. I mean, I always say to Manraj as a joke that season when they finished 1 point behind and lost one game the whole season, the standard now of football is incomparable to the old eras. Look at Mourinho in the current era. He's flopped at Man United and Tottenham. It shows you that the era isn't comparable year in year out. I think Klopp's performance is bordering Guardiola and it's bordering Wenger.
So are you saying that football is harder now than it was?
100%. There's no doubt about that. Tottenham now can compete with the top four. In my whole lifetime, Tottenham were a joke of a club.
It is. I think you look at it,
100%.
Especially with the smaller clubs, the amount of money they've had. I could never dream of a day where I'd see West Ham lining with three attackers like Bowen, Paqueta and Kudus, which can start for top four clubs. And when I mean top four clubs, you can make a very good case for them starting for Arsenal and Liverpool. And maybe Paqueta, we know Man City are interested in him. He could be a Man City starter. And I think that shows you the strength of our league.
I want to go back to something you said, Manraj, and you said about the league titles. Klopp's only won one. But Arsene Wenger, he had 3 league titles. Why do you put Klopp over a Wenger, for example? Because, let's be honest, Wenger's context in terms of the finances, in terms of how he revolutionised English football, that's a big reason why people have a lot of reverence for Arsene Wenger. So why do you have Klopp over Wenger?
Klopp inherited probably one of the worst Liverpool sides ever, really. It was down in the dumps. We were struggling. You know, the quality of play was really, really low. And what he did, I think, to first of all get the real crap out the club, transform the club, but also build the belief. Even with the fans, you'd be sitting there at Anfield, you'd be thinking, 80th minute, we're 2-1 up, we're probably going to concede here. And the way he revolutionised, and you'll see it a lot on social media, you know, Liverpool fans, some of them will say, you know, it's not about the trophy, it's about the journey. It is about the journey in some respects because we went from, and in Klopp's words, doubters to believers. And that's what he turned us into. And I think with Wenger, especially when he took over Arsenal in the George Graham times, they were still the club. They were still competing. So there wasn't really a change. Wenger was kind of doing his job. They were competing. They still had top players. Klopp's literally built from what was rubble, and he's built the foundations for what was one of the best sides probably in the Premier League era. It's up there. I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely up there. And that's why for me, I'd probably have him above Wenger.
Let's go to Pep Guardiola. You said Klopp's on par with Pep Guardiola.
Transformational change, yeah.
What about overall? Because this is overall we're talking. We're talking about Klopp's all-time ranking. That's a big statement. You can't just go in the nitty-gritty.
So if Man City get found guilty for FFP, where does Guardiola rank then?
Guardiola isn't responsible for the management financially of the club.
Yeah, but listen,
that's not his fault.
He's not
That's
naive.
not his remit either.
He knows where the money's going and how far it's going. Come on, he's not that naive that he just sits there thinking, oh, somebody else takes credit for FFP.
Yeah, I'd agree
But
with that.
to answer the question, I think with these discussions, the sad thing about some football fans, they're very fickle people in that it's not as straightforward as he's won 50 league titles, he's won 2, so that guy's 50 times better. Context matters, yeah? Mourinho's impact was short term, he didn't win a legacy. Chelsea won trophies after him. Wenger's impact was a legacy, both in financial terms as footballing terms, and no other manager has done that. Klopp's legacy is the club were in a massive disaster situation, Hodgson, Dalglish. How many seasons in the history of football, that season they lost by a point, they'll win your league in every other season? Yeah. That's a standard they're at. How can you tell me that if you put that points tally into other seasons, Klopp's a massive winner of trophies. It's not his fault that he came in an era and Guardiola's here. Context matters, eras matter, situation matters. I think his European credentials are really underrated. Like, he's taking a team that's constantly battling for top honours in Europe. And we always say European success is the ultimate test of managers' credentials.
I want to talk about the European thing before we end this. And that European record, do you honestly think European football now is as strong as it was when the person you actually critiqued a little bit, Ferguson, back then European football was a lot stronger. The Serie A teams were amazing. Real Madrid and Barcelona were very, very good. Bayern Munich were there. Even teams in the Dutch league, for example, were doing well. Celtic were a pretty good team back then as well. You don't really see those teams as much. Bayern aren't really the same team anymore. Barcelona are going through a bit of a patch. Real Madrid are there because of their history and the pedigree. But other than that, who's actually there to challenge the likes of City?
I think if you look over the European period, Klopp went up against probably the best Champions League team we've ever seen in Real Madrid, the three-peat side, and that was towards the end. And Guardiola went up against that at Manchester City a little bit as well, and the back end of the Barcelona one. But it's also the competition that they faced. Like, it's not the way that they've beaten these sides. It's they've swatted them aside. You could probably compare that. They'd be equally competitive in maybe those mid-2000 years, and people might disagree. But the way Liverpool, Man City have done in Europe, and probably Chelsea to an extent, I think it just shows how good these coaches are, and especially Klopp with the comebacks. We went away to Bayern Munich and beat them in the round of 16. Yeah. I think they were the only team to have done that in the last 15 years. And away to a ground where historically no one really has a good record there in Europe, bar Real Madrid. And to go there and win. The same with, we went to Atletico Madrid away and won. We used to smash Porto up for jokes, and Arsenal couldn't do that. Those type of things.
And we can always remember corner quickly taken.
The final comment. If Champions League's so easy, explain PSG's record.
And on that bombshell. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. As we know, it's an interesting debate. Where does Klopp rank in the whole Premier League? Where does he rank compared to Fergie, Wenger, Guardiola, and Mourinho, of course? But as always, I want to hear your thoughts. Please let us know in the comments who you think is the best manager out of those five. How do you see Klopp's legacy as well once it's all said and done at Liverpool? Make sure to smash a like if you haven't already done so. Share with your friends and family. Comment your thoughts as well. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. But as always, until next time.